Please join me in welcoming Noah Riner.
Before I start, I'd like to let you know that there's a meeting tonight at 8 p.m. in Alumni Hall. We're going to be talking about our Dartmouth response to the victims of Hurricane Katrina. It's at 8 p.m. in Alumni Hall. Hope to see you there. You've been told that you're a very special class. A quick look at the statistics confirm that claim. Quite simply, you are the smartest and most diverse group of freshmen that Dartmouth has ever seen. You have more potential than all the other classes. You really are special. But it isn't enough to be special. It isn't enough to be talented, to be beautiful, to be smart. Generations of amazing students have come before you and have sat in your seats. Some have been good, some have been bad, all of them special. In fact, there's quite a long list of very special, very corrupt people who have graduated from Dartmouth. William Walter Remington, class of 39, started out as a Boy Scout and a choir boy and graduated Phi Beta Kappa. He ended up as a Soviet spy, was convicted of perjury and beaten to death in prison. Daniel Mason, class of 93, was just about to graduate from Boston Medical School when he shot 2 men, killing one after a parking dispute. Just a few weeks ago, I read in the D about P.J. Hallis, class of 98. His great-uncle George founded the Chicago Bears, and P.J. lived up to the family name, co-captaining the basketball team at Dartmouth. He was also a history teacher when he graduated, and this summer he was arrested for sexually assaulting a 15-year-old student. These stories demonstrate that it takes more than a Dartmouth degree to build character. As former Dartmouth president John Sloan Dickey said, at Dartmouth, our business is learning. And I'll have to agree with the motto of favorite college featured in the movie Animal House. Knowledge is good. But if all we get from this place is knowledge, we've missed something. There's one subject that you won't learn about in class, one topic that orientation didn't cover, and that your UGA probably won't mention, and that's character. What is the purpose of our education, and why are we at Dartmouth? Martin Luther King Jr. said, "But education which stops with efficiency must prove the greatest menace to society. We must remember that intelligence is not enough. Intelligence plus character, that's the goal of true education." We hear very little about character in our classrooms. Yet, as Dr. King suggests, the real problem in the world is not a lack of education. For example, in the past few weeks, we've seen some pretty revealing things happening on the Gulf Coast in the wake of Hurricane Katrina. We've all seen acts of selfless heroism, and millions around the country have united to help the refugees. We've been inspired by this. And on the other hand, we've been disgusted by the looting, the violence, the raping that took place, even in the supposed refuge areas. In a time of crisis and death, people were paddling around in rafts, stealing TVs and VCRs. How could Americans go so low? My purpose of mentioning the horrible things done by certain people on the Gulf isn't to condemn them. Rather, it's to condemn us. Supposedly, character is what you do when no one's looking. But I'm afraid to say all the things I've done when no one was looking. Cheating, stealing, lusting, you name it. How different are we? It's easy to say that we've never gone that far, never stolen that much, never lusted so much with rape. And the people we've cheated, they are probably rich anyway. Let's be honest, the differences are in degree. We have the same flaws as the individuals who pillaged New Orleans. Ours haven't been given such free range, but they exist and are part of us all the same. The Times of London once asked readers for comments on what was wrong with the world. British author G.K. Chesterton responded simply, "Dear sir, I am." Not many of us have the same clarity that Chesterton had. Just days after Hurricane Katrina had ravaged the coast, politicians and pundits were distributing more blame than aid. It's so easy to see the faults of others, but so difficult to see our own. In the words of Cassius in Shakespeare's Julius Caesar, the fault, dear Brutus, is not in our stars, but in ourselves. Character has a lot to do with sacrifice, laying our personal interest down for something greater. The best example of this is Jesus. In the Garden of Gethsemane, just hours before his crucifixion, Jesus prayed, "Father, if thou be willing, remove this cup from me. Nevertheless, not my will, but thine be done." He knew the right thing to do. He knew that the cost would be agonizing, torture, and death, but he did it anyway. That's character. Jesus is a good example of character, but he's also much more than that. He's the solution to flawed people like corrupt Dartmouth alums, like looters, like me. It's so easy to focus on the defects of others and ignore my own, but I need saving as much as they do. Jesus' message of redemption is simple. People are imperfect, and there are consequences for our actions. He gave his life for our sin, so that we wouldn't have to bear the penalty of the law, so we could see love. The problem is me. The solution is God's love. Jesus on the cross for us. In the words of Bono, if only we could be a bit more like him, the world would be transformed. When I look at the cross of Christ, what I see up there is all my sins and everybody else's. So I ask myself a question a lot of people have asked. What is this man? And who was he? Was he who he said he was? Or was he just a religious nut? And there it is, and that's the question. Now, you want the best undergraduate education in the world, and you've come to the right place to get that. But there's more to college than achievement. With Martin Luther King, we must dream of a nation and a college where people are not judged by the superficial, but by the content of their character. Thus, as you begin your 4 years here, class of 2009, you've got to come to some conclusions about your own character, because you won't get it just going to class. What is the content of your character? Who are you? And how will you become what you need to be? Thank you.